Alright, hello everybody. This is my first video in a series of videos I'm gonna do on the Yamaha Virago 535. This model is a 1995. I got it about a year ago in September, so yeah, a year ago. A little background on this particular bike. It was purchased by a lady originally who rode about 50 miles on it, and then she let it sit in her garage for 20 years. Then this guy bought it, fixed her up, and sold it to me on Craigslist. And he replaced the battery, rebuilt the carbs, replaced the fuel filter, oil change, brake fluids, fixed the tank, the gas tank, because it had old gas sitting in it, so it had corroded in the inside. Got the bike running again and sold it to me, and I have not had any problems with it ever since. So I just washed the bike, that's why everything's all, the ground's all wet. And kind of the purpose of these videos is going to be first to introduce the bike, and then we're going to do some simple guides like oil change. We are going to tackle an electrical problem I'm having, where this blinker, it blinks when I turn on the switch, but it does not stay on like the right one does. And this intro is meant to introduce the bike to you, and it will be sort of a review. I might do a more in-depth review later on, I'm not sure. It depends on how popular this video is and if people like it. So the bike is a V-twin, that means the engine has two engine heads, as you can see down here, and it's in the shape of a V. And it's 535 cc's. It's got a shifter down here, so it's not automatic. There's for example, the Honda-matic is a bike that is automatic. This one, like most bikes, has gears you shift through. What else? It's a shaft drive. So a couple things on shaft drives. So you basically, if you are purchasing a new bike, you have three options. You have chain, belt, or a shaft drive. A shaft drive is good for beginner bikes because it's low maintenance. The only maintenance you really need to do is, you see this bolt, there's a fluid that goes in here, so I think it's every maybe 5 years or something like that, you're supposed to change that out, but it's not very often at all. So low maintenance. Some of the bad things about a shaft drive is that the throttle response is kind of touchy. Some people don't mind it and get used to it, some people don't like it at all. So yeah, but I can do a separate video on shaft drives if you guys want me to. But yeah, for a cruiser style motorcycle like this one, a shaft drive is just fine in my opinion. What else? It's got the shock system. You see right here, there's one on each side. So it's not a hardtail, and it's not a fake hardtail either. It's got, here's the other side of the bike. It's got two pipes coming out. The carb is right in here in this area. I have never messed with it, so I don't know much about it, but I know that's where it's at. It's got a drum brake in the back, which works fine, and it's got a one disc brake in the front. The brakes are okay. The back drum brake you have to be careful with. It's somewhat easy to look it up. The best thing you can do is go to a parking lot and practice. braking on it. Let's see, some cool things, some cool features. You got the back here, the passenger. Let me see, I'm gonna set the camera down. You can take that off like I just did. And inside you got a little bit of storage area. I keep a very specific set of tools. I do not have the original tools that came with this, so I put together a kit on my own. I can go through it on a different video if you guys want me to. And I have my registration insurance in there. So yeah, it's kind of cool, kind of convenient. I'm gonna put the camera down one more time. It's kind of cool and convenient, and it's not something that you see a lot in cruisers, for it to have that storage space at the bottom like that. But this bike does, and I know the bigger versions of this bike have an even more interesting situation going on, where it actually locks in here and you can open it up like that. Let's see, what else? The styling on this bike, some people don't like it. If you look at it from this side, it's got no frame in the front, so the engine is just like right there, right up front, and there's no frame in the front where a different bike might have a radiator or something like that. I like it. It's very imposing. It's full of chrome. It's intricate looking. I think it's beautiful. So people do not like it, and they think it makes the bike ugly. But that's up to you. It's a personal choice. One thing that I don't usually like on bikes is the small front fender. I like bikes with the big fenders that cover up, you know, this area up here. But if you go back a little and look at the whole bike, I think it fits well with the overall model. To me, it kind of looks like a 70s bike cruiser. So yeah, let's see, what else can I tell you about this bike? Let's see what we got going on up here. You know, typical high-low, left-right horn, and here you got your kill switch. This bike does feature a fuel reservoir. On this bike it doesn't work because the petcock rusted and it had to be sawed off. Basically what it looks like, there's in the tank there's two tubes, so if my index finger is one tube and my middle finger is another tube, they're kind of like this. So when the fuel level gets to where my middle finger is, then the bike will run out of gas, in a sense. That's when you switch to your reservoir, and then that's when this tube starts working. Before that, if you don't switch onto your reservoir, then it's the index finger tube that works. But anyways, that whole thing has been cut off, and it just looks like this basically in this particular bike. But yeah, kind of a cool feature. It's not super necessary. I think I can go about 120 miles is the most I've done on a single tank. You could probably go further, but I don't risk it. So what I do is I reset the trip meter, and every time I fuel up, and then once it gets to about 100, 110, then I fuel up again and reset it back to 0. So those are some specifics of the bike. Some general things that you might be interested in is I guess, what kind of rider is this a good bike for? This is a good bike for beginners or a small person. I am not a small person. I am 5'10", 5'11", and I weigh 200 pounds. But when I bought the bike, it was my first bike, so it was a good bike for me. Now it's been a year. I'm looking to upgrade possibly to a Virago 1100, which is the same model, just bigger engine. And that's how good the bike is, really, that I want to go stay in the same model. But yeah, so 535 cc's used to be considered middleweight. Now it's featherweight by today's standards. So, you know, to give you an idea, you can do anything in the city with it. You can get on the highway. I get on the highway on it, but I have to stay in the right lane, and I can't really go more than, I would say, 60 without it getting really uncomfortable, because the bike will start vibrating a lot past that. Of course, if you're lighter, if you weigh less than me, that top speed's gonna be higher for you. So yeah, you can get on the highway with it, but it's just really light, so you kind of get blown around. The tires are small, so it goes into grooves a little bit. You got to be ready for that, especially the front skinny tire, and you won't be able to go that fast. You could, I wouldn't go to Wyoming on this bike. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I wouldn't go into big open highways. I can go on the highway to go around the metro area, but once you get into those interstates where the speed limit's 75 and people are doing 85, forget it. So yeah, excellent bike for a beginner. And it's not so small like a 250 you get bored with in a week. This 535, you will have fun for at least a year on it. But you will most likely want to upgrade at some point. The seat's really comfortable. This is a 20-year-old seat, and it looks brand freaking new. It's soft and it's good quality. It takes some time to break in. I got the bike with 150 miles on it, so the seat wasn't broken in, but it's pretty comfortable. Of course, the Virago 750 and 1100 have more comfortable seats. It's got a lot of chrome. What else we got? I can't really think of anything else to tell you as far as this introduction / review goes. Maybe a couple things to note is the oil filter is located beneath this casing right here. You take 3 of these screws out, and there will be the oil filter sitting in there, and then that's where you change it, and then the oil goes in through here. You open this up, and that's where the oil goes to, and then way down here there is a window. Let's see if I can locate it. Right there in the center of the camera, where you can check your oil level, make sure the bike's standing straight when you do so for an accurate reading. But I will, depending on demand, do a video on how to do an oil change on this motorcycle. It has no center stand. The 1100 does. This 535 doesn't. It does have passenger pegs. They're pulled out right now because I was washing it. And I have ridden 2-up on it once, and it was okay. You could definitely feel it, much more sluggish. You gotta be careful with the braking. The braking power was significantly decreased. So, it's possible to do 2-up. I don't recommend it. It's not the best for it. So yeah, that's about it, you guys. One thing, this bike doesn't really have any mods. Things to look out for if you're thinking about purchasing this bike. Things to note. Notice where the blinkers are set. You are not going to be able to set a saddlebag here unless you move the blinkers. You drill holes back here and you move the whole system back here, then you might be able to fit a small saddlebag here. Otherwise, forget about it. What I do, and I will show you real quick, is I purchased one of these bags, and so this goes right here on the bike on the back, and it has straps that I tie to the blinkers. So that's just about all the storage you're going to get, plus the storage behind, or underneath I should say, the passenger seat. So that's one thing to know. Other thing to know is, no, you won't know how many RPMs you're doing. There's only the speedometer. You don't really need to know how many RPMs you're doing on this bike. You will know when you need to shift. And that's about it. I can turn it on for you guys real quick if you want to hear what it sounds like. It doesn't sound super powerful like a bigger engine might. Kind of cool, the ignition switches right here at the bottom where the green keys are. It's kind of that classic cruiser place to set it at. It's got a choke. It's carbureted, like I said, no fuel injectors. So the choke is down here. You pull that down. And it's in neutral. Got a light right here. And turn this to run and press the start button. It starts pretty good. If it's cold, it might take a couple tries. You can look at the mirrors. See, they're not really vibrating that much. It's got a good vibration at idle. It's really when you get into highway speeds that you feel the vibration. And then we take the choke off. That's regular idle. And I'm doing this video on my phone, so I don't know how good the sound quality is. Now I'll show you what I meant with the blinkers. See, this one's on, that one's not on. However, if I need to use the blinker, it does come on. It's a weird issue. It's probably wiring. I don't know much about electronical issues, but I'll be working on that sometime soon and possibly make a video about that. So that's basically it, you guys. Upcoming videos might include oil change. They might include the electrical issue. We might do things like looking at the battery or just basic stuff to begin with. I might bleed the final, the shaft drive fluid just to show how it's done. It's super easy, but might as well. And any other videos you guys might want to see on this bike, let me know in the comments, and I will try to accommodate. I am by no means an expert on motorcycles or even on this bike itself, so if you guys have any extra information you want to post, feel free. And that's basically it, I think. So yeah, Yamaha Virago 535, 1995. Excellent bike, highly recommended for a beginner or small person. And that's basically it. Have a good day, you guys.